Matt's going to go first. You're going to have to introduce your talk because I can't. It's high-level problem solving and then it got erased. So, Matt Lambie.
This one works? Yeah, it does. All right. Time starts now. Cool. High-level problem solving with dire physical consequences. How to kill a lion with your bare hands. Notice the little asterisk there. We'll get to that in a minute. All right. We'll start with a joke. Stealing your idea. What's the hardest part about being an atheist vegan who trains CrossFit? I'm none of these. Oh, I'm an atheist. Deciding what to boast about first, right? So we've all met those people who, hey, my name's Matt and I'm an atheist, as if that's the biggest thing about them. Well, I'm a little bit like that when it comes to a martial art that I train. So what's with the pyjamas? We'll get to that in a second. The outfit hopefully gets you paying attention. You're like, what's going on here? And then you might listen to what I'm talking about, which today's going to be a little bit about BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. All right, so do you even train, bro? Hands up, anyone in the audience that has trained or does train any kind of martial art whatsoever? Anyone? Nice and high. Cool. How many people do any kind of grappling art, like judo or wrestling? The Americans? No? A few. Okay. All right. Isn't it a tech conference? What the hell is this idiot talking about fighting people for? All right. How does it relate to Ruby? Not just a tech conference? I'm really this is very tenuous here. Japan. All right. So Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu traces its origins back through to Japan. So in the early 1900s, Count Maeda, he's a judoka, he trained judo. He taught Carlson Gracie, Gracie family you might have some familiarity with. One day, Carlson was sick, so his little brother, Elio, took over the class. He was much smaller. And so Carlson's a big, strong guy. So all the moves that the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu was based around was about being a big, powerful sort of fighter. Elio is a tiny guy. He's a Filipino-sized person, right? And so the movements that he had kind of picked up were much more technique-focused, and they depended much less about the size of your biceps and more about positioning and some of your movements. Cool. Elio has several sons. This guy loves to have sex. And he has heaps of sons. 5 of them kind of make up the core. So all those children, all the sons got taught jiu-jitsu, most of the girls got taught jiu-jitsu as well, and that became a variation that is now known as Brazilian jiu-jitsu. All right? Cool. Fast forward, who's heard of the UFC before? Yeah, the mixed martial arts? Cool. So Rorion Gracie, which is one of Elio's sons, one of the many, he founded the UFC in November '93, and it was basically meant to be a giant advertising campaign for the efficacy of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And it started off, it was a boxer and a sumo guy and a jiu-jitsu guy, and they were supposed to be, settle that schoolyard debate of, could a karate guy beat up a boxer, right? Oh, my dad does karate, he could beat up your dad. That kind of thing. They were supposed to settle the debate, and they were pretty confident that jiu-jitsu was going to come out dominant. And it did, right? It's become a very dominant grappling art. But then the wrestlers came along and were like, well, we're big and we know how to get you on the ground. And it started to level the playing field. And we've now got mixed martial arts that has evolved as a result of that. I don't train MMA. I'm way too pretty to get punched in the face. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why I like jiu-jitsu and why you might like it too. So it's an art. It's a martial art. It's an artistic endeavour, right? What we do here, it's not science. It's an art. It's a programming, software development. It's a way we can express ourselves through code. A martial art is a way you can express yourself through movement. I've heard jiu-jitsu described as yoga that you do with someone else. Or yoga is jiu-jitsu that you do on your own. Cool. There's a huge community overlap, right? Most of the people that I train jiu-jitsu with are above average intelligence, There are a lot of them that are in the technology communities. It's very popular with people that like to solve problems, right? And that kind of comes into play in a minute. It's not a bunch of meatheads, right? It's not about who's the biggest, who's the strongest. It's about who can solve the problem in the most efficient manner. And if you're smaller and you can beat a bigger person, then that's considered a pretty significant win. People talk about it as being human chess, right? So you have, instead of a whole array of pieces, you just have yourself. But if I put my body here and you put your body there, and we're trying to oppose each other, and I'm trying to ultimately have you quit or fall unconscious, it's commonly the outcome. Cool. It works really, really, really well. And this is what we saw at the beginning of the UFC. Like, the efficacy of jiu-jitsu is beyond reproach. It is extremely effective. It works really well. Even when people know how to counter your jiu-jitsu, it's still very, very effective. Someone who's training, who's done 3 to 6 months of jiu-jitsu, would be able to dominate somebody on the ground in a fight versus someone who's had no training whatsoever, regardless of size. Cool, there's no striking, right? Jiu-jitsu as a self-defense art, so what Elio was training, they had a lot of punching and kicking and what have you. I'm talking more about sort of sports-based jiu-jitsu here. There's no punching or kicking. You can train, you don't hurt people when you train. I'll get to that in a sec. You can fight off your back in the guard. If you're a woman, fighting off your back, that's really important. Who wants to see me choke this guy out? All right. Too sad.
Thank you. Maria Chris?
Hello.
Okay. Next speaker is Maria Chris Donato. Takeaways from building a white labeling bookstore.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Maria Chris Donato. You can find me here on Twitter and GitHub. So I currently work for Premier Speakers Bureau. Please visit our site. So I want to share with you some learnings that I have picked up from last year and early this year. So the thing is, they have this business idea. They just want to have it launched ASAP, but they can't tell us everything that they have set up for the business model. And so we had to work really very fast, but they have a lot of ideas that they can't tell us right away. And there are a lot of production bugs that are happening. So this is late 2016 to early 2017. So the problems that we need to solve is that we have to step away from the product growth being driven only by requests from our product owners and those who use the site. And there's no time for improvements. In fact, there's a strong need to scale later on because we were planning to import a lot of data in our site, more like 2 million plus. So the thing is, it diminishes developer happiness, and without developer happiness, we will all be burned out very fast. And not all of the parts of the application is given attention if we just attend to bugs and to feature requests. So what's the working approach? The first thing that I started with is that I studied the working pattern. So I was most productive between 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I used that kind of setup to develop an understanding of deep work and shallow work. Deep work is like you're really focused, just doing whatever you need to do. You can do Pomodoro, you can do task listing, check it off, like that. So also identify what helps you develop that deep working pattern. Like, is it a particular music that puts you in the mood? Is it the lighting? Is it the how cold is your air conditioning in that particular room, etc. So what I do is I use this graph. It's a chronograph. So I plot out what I do every day and when I do it. So after some time of studying what's working for me, I found out how to put myself in a deep working status. So the next thing is identify different big parts of your application. Like there's a search front end and the admin side for us. So I had it set on a weekly focus so that I can attend to that every week, regardless of what production bugs are coming in. The next thing is develop a good working pattern on a daily basis and on a weekly basis. So you at least know what to do when you wake up. You don't have to fumble around every morning. So what I do is finish all production bug fixes first, and then create cards that I cannot attend to within that day, and then identify the last possible time of deploy every day for hot fixes. So this is kind of roughly what I do every morning and every night. So I always know what to do, so I kind of develop a routine for that. There's also a working pattern on a weekly basis so that I don't forget to check Google Webmasters, SEO errors, etc. And because of those improvements, I have increased the response time of our website. We used to be running a very low AppTech score, and now we're kind of doing good. So also, we have to write tests because when you release a product very, very fast, usually tests are the last thing that we put in. So when you're moving towards a good state, it's good to add more tests as you go along. And then finally, you must love logs. Take time to check your Nginx logs, your access logs. You will see that some accesses there are made by robots, and usually they consume resources trying to load the pages that you can actually cache, or you don't want robots to do that, so check your robots file, and then set up also a stricter firewall so that you don't have to deal with errors and hacking attempts, like if you know specific algorithms or signatures of the traffic that you're expecting, put it there so that you don't waste precious resources. And be sure to visit the site, the store that I'm talking about. It's at bugbooks.com. If you want to save a huge discount and deals, please see me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcus. Our next speaker, none other than PJ, about a brief history of Ruby karaoke. PJ.
Thank you. Love being introduced from less than a foot away. It's fantastic. Play. All right, cool. So I have something going on. I don't know why the projector doesn't have anything going on. How's everybody doing today? I feel like I should apologize a little bit. You can't get me off the stage. Turn it off and turn it back on. All right, so how many of you have been to Ruby Karaoke before, whether here or somewhere else? Awesome. So a lot of people don't know it started somewhere, believe it or not. So once upon a time, 3 people were hanging out at a conference in the south of France, in Lyon, and there was this weird cultural thing where no one wanted to talk to the speakers. Like, the speakers would talk to the speakers, the attendees would talk to the attendees, never the twain shall meet. And we're like, man, this is really bumming me out. This is no good. We are not having a good time because we want to talk to new people. We want to see new faces and make new friends. And then my friend Terrence, who some of you may remember from RubyConf Philippines past, said, I wonder if there's a karaoke place around here. And our friend Chris said, dude, I love karaoke. And I was like, oh yeah, I too am a fan of the karaokes. Let's find a place and invite the whole conference. And then we started a hashtag. So we had a wonderful time. We invited everybody there. It was kind of an illegal karaoke place, which was fine. And then we said, you know, we should do this at every Ruby conference we go to. This is a good way to bring the community together with something that's absolutely ridiculous, because karaoke should not be taken seriously. In the same way that application building probably shouldn't be taken as seriously as we do. We're not saving lives here. We're just building web applications. Come on. So we realized it was a great way. Speakers, attendees, volunteers, organizers could all get on one stage and we could level the playing field. There's nothing special about singing songs at karaoke, especially Backstreet Boys songs, which when we started this whole venture, I didn't know the words to a Backstreet Boys song. I now know the words to 3. I blame Terrence. But the thing that we liked most about it was the fact that everybody could get involved. There's always, everybody's like, oh, I'm shy, I don't like to sing, I don't like to be in front of people. But you can still go and have a good time and watch your other friends make idiots out of themselves. And so many times I've seen people who are like, oh, I love the community, I love going to karaoke, but I just want to watch. And then they start to get into it. They realize that not everybody is Keith, not everybody can sing that well. So, maybe it's okay to sing a song or two and you have a good time. Granted, we had to start setting up some rules because this is a group of people and people get out of hand sometimes. So 3 simple rules. Pics are great. Use the Ruby Karaoke hashtag when you post them. Videos are not cool. Videos are not funny. This is like a private time. Someone might be expressing themselves for the first time on a microphone, and the last thing they want is to go home and be like, oh, that was pretty bad. We have had one person violate the no videos rule. His name is Richard Schneeman. But the reason why I bring this up is because it's always been a good time. We don't judge people. You might have terrible taste in music, and I know I am very opinionated about that. Very opinionated about that. But it's about having fun. So if you want to go and you want to sing some country song, feel free. That's cool. We did one karaoke session where 2 guys from Portugal came and sang country in Portuguese, and I had no idea what was going on, but they were having a riot. So good for them. That's the whole point. Have fun, meet new people, have a good time. This picture is actually from the first ever Ruby Karaoke here at RubyConf Philippines, and yes, that is Chris Rigger singing a song. So, if you go tonight, have fun, participate, make new friends, make Chris Rigger sing a song. Thank you very much.
Thank you, BJ. Okay. Okay, the next talk by Greg, writing config files in Ruby. Greg.
I'm here. Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Greg, and a big part of my job, well maybe not that big, but the most boring part of my job is writing config files. It's like probably the most boring topic I've ever found in my job. If you can find something more boring in programming, please tell me, I will feel less bad about writing config files. They are just extremely boring, right? And this is a topic that it's basically solved. So just use JSON, YAML. If you hate yourself, just use XML. Or just use database, because that's where we store the values, right? So it's basically solved. But configuration is very static. Like you can store a string in configuration, you can store a symbol, you can store an object. But what if your configuration has to be more dynamic? Well, if it has to be dynamic, is it still a configuration? I won't answer that question, it's more of a philosophy, so let's leave it for philosophers. But to have dynamic configuration, I wrote a very simple gem that I called simple configuration, because it's really simple. The gem spec file is like twice longer than the code. You can find it on GitHub. I just published it today, and what it allows me to do is, oh no. Oh no. Wait, how can I, Chris? Okay, so what it allows me to do is it allows me to write config files in Ruby. I really need this Wi-Fi here. How do I do that? Okay, code. Okay, no, I cannot write the code. Okay. So just please check it out on the Arnold simple configuration. It basically allows you to write a configuration that that is not representing only static values. It also allows you to keep blocks, to keep functions as a configuration. And it simplifies your code so that you are not writing methods using def, method name, then end. You just write the name of the configuration, then after the space you write the value. And it just works. It's extremely simple. It's really just 15 lines of code, and you can check it out. It is interesting because I use define method inside define method, and you've probably never done that. So maybe don't follow these practices, but check it out because I think that this is a very abusing way of using Ruby. Like, it's not good, but because it's in a gem, then you don't see it, right? So feel free to use it in your application. Okay? Again, it's arval/simple configuration, and I've got a challenge for you. So in my code, I use something like this. So I have missing value and this very weird string there, and I define config method, and I use this missing value here. If you can tell me why I don't use nil there, I will be more than happy to buy you a beer or a juice or whatever you'd like to drink. Okay? So find me at the after party or anywhere here at the conference. If you understand why I don't use nil there, I'll be very happy to talk to you. That's it. Yeah, I work for a company called Caligo Solutions. We are building a team in Philippines. If you're interested, if you're looking for work, if you would like to know why people use such stuff and why people put define method inside define method, let's talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. Okay, the next speaker is Ken. And his talk is how to get good.
Chris, why did you disconnect from Wi-Fi at all?
Hello. No, how did you do this? Hello. My name is Ken. Yeah, my talk is about how to get good. This year, I wanted to seek discomfort. I want to challenge myself, right? So I set a goal, a tiny goal, a really small goal, and then I set out and practiced every day. So if you go to my GitHub, you can see since January, I've been committing once every day, except February 14, wink wink. And since the time that I started to just practice every day, I've had some fun projects that I've accomplished. So I made Corgi, which is a CSS framework, which is equivalent to a stupid log of fur. So it's really cool. You can check it out. Please star. So I also learned about why people say go mobile first. I'm like, why? I don't know. So I tried doing it mobile first, and then I eventually realized that in order to support smaller devices, you have to start from there, and then since you have more space in desktop, you adjust and with the media queries, so it's really fun. And then I also wanted to I've never contributed to proper open source. So just recently I PR'd something to React Bootstrap, and I'm super stoked because I just try to get at it every day, look at the issues, and then just one time this came up, and this is something that I can do. So I just asked the maintainer, hey, can I do this? And it's like, okay, cool, go. So yeah, and then. I also did this earlier because when I was listening to Daryl, the other speaker, I'm like, man. So I created a Minesweeper game so I won't be bored because I don't know. No, I'm full disclosure, I'm friends with Daryl. I'm just pulling his leg. Yeah. So I also have this thing. I like to do apps that are in single pages. The entire Minesweeper is 167 lines, all with HTML and CSS, so it's super cool. So yeah, everyone practice every day, and maybe you can create a CSS framework like me. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Ken. So if Ken has ever contributed to your open source project, you now know that it's an improper one. So our next talk by Jed in RubyConf PH Kaizen. Alright, so I didn't create a presentation so I could get all your attention here. Because you're looking at it. Alright, so yeah, first, short introduction. I'm Jed. I'm the Director of Development at SourcePad. And yeah, I started coding Ruby since 2009. But now I code less because of my position. Anyway, at SourcePad, a short overview. SourcePad is a SourcePad is a New York City-based company that works with startups from Silicon Valley and New York since 2008, and we have a great web and iOS developers out there at the back. And yeah, sometimes for fun, we call ourselves a fraternity group because once you became a SourcePad, you'll always be a SourcePad, and our office is a fraternity house because we could cook there, we could sleep there, we could take a bath, and we could drink beers and Jack Daniels while working. We could also play werewolves and all those stuff. Beer pongs, King's Cup, if you know it. Anyway, Kaizen, going back to my topic. Yeah, so Kaizen is another word for continuous improvement. And we practice it in our office, and from recruiting to culture to architects to R&D, PM, QA, and everything else. So even our summer outing, which is this, since we started in 2008, even our summer outing has a Kaizen group, and our Kaizen lead, hi there, yeah, we're looking forward to it. Anyway, yeah, so I want to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is something that we should keep, the bad is something we should improve, and the ugly is anything that we could avoid. All right, what's the good here in this Ruby conference today? This is just my personal list, so I'm just one opinion, and the else is okay. Anyway, so the good is, yeah, a lot of new faces. Actually, hello, Money Smart, and I saw Ben, I saw Satya, yeah. Yeah, his team, they're really having fun when he drinks a beer with them. It's first time. All right, and next is, yeah, SourcePad brings always a new faces. So right now we bring 4 new faces, 4 new Rubies, and we promise to keep bringing more and more. Yeah, the bad, sound check, all right. So the bad is there's fewer attendance, I guess. Well, last year is 140, I believe. That's because Mats is here. So, however, right now it's like 100. And yeah, so just like what Megan said yesterday, yeah, convince your boss, okay? Convince your boss to like, yeah, that you would come here and join the community. Well, SourcePad brings 18 people here right now. If you count ex-SourcePad, it's a total of 25. Just to meet and reunite with them and with the former colleagues, friends, and the whole community. Anyway, the other bad is, I guess, just this for personal, there's fewer tech talks because of technical takeaways. In my experience, sorry. Yeah, so don't get me wrong, sharing is really great, just like what PJ said, sharing is caring. In my own experience, technical takeaways helps me solve some trivial problems. Sometimes I can do workarounds and everything else. I have a short time, and yeah, then the ugly is, this is not really ugly, but there's less interaction within the community. It's like, all right, we just pass around. But however, we could just say, hey, what's your name and how are you doing? Where you came from? So yeah, or maybe just ask questions about the topic. Anyway, yeah, so I just want to share that SourcePad, one of our core values is to get better every day. And I want to, so let's get better every year. And congratulations to all of us. And yeah, thank you. Have a great.
Thank you, Jed. Our next speaker is Lester, and he'll be, and the talk is entitled "A 5-Minute Blog App with Functional Programming Services."
Hello. Okay. So yeah, I'm here to talk about blog app. I think I skewed the title a little bit, but blog app in 5 minutes with functional programming and services. So basically, it's kind of mouthful, but like all of the motivation of this talk is also in the title. So like blog app. So when I started Rails, I think the best selling point was, hey, we can do like these blog applications in Rails in 5 minutes. And I was so young back then, and I think I'm kind of doji, and I was like, yeah, can PHP do this? So, so basically, so basically it's like the starting point for me. So I was told that, oh my, Rails or Ruby and Rails applications can like do blogs. And also here, 5 minutes, so I don't think I have a choice because lightning talks are supposed to last 5 minutes. So yeah, I got to limit this talk to around 5 minutes. Functional programming. So the thing is, lately, I've been like an architect for our company, so let me just... And I've been like searching how to improve Ruby performance, and then you see improving Ruby performance with Rust. And then, and then you see like Rust is a system supporting functional and imperative procedure pattern. I said, whoa! So, and also I was talking to Terrence yesterday, and he's our community manager, and he said, I've been doing Elixir and it's functional, and whoa, it's functional. So, so basically, yeah, I was curious about how to do these things in functional style. What am I doing? I can see. So yeah, so that's the motivation for functional. And services, I think I've seen a lot of like talk about how to like do services for Ruby applications, and I don't know, I guess it's just a thing. So to build a basic web application, you need Rack, and when you do the most simple Rack application, you just have to like class app, and then you have a call method, and then you initialize that, and you can like pass it to like any server. So there you are. And then the good thing about like Rails application and other like web frameworks is that they use like the Rack builder that's ships with the Rack library. So you could like use middleware. And how you use middleware is you basically have to initialize it and then pass an app on it, and then you have to have also a call method that passes the env here. So TLDR, what Rack Builder does is like it squishes like your stuff, and then it looks something like this. So a bit inaccurate, but it serves our purpose. So I said this talk was about functional programming. So what do we have as functional programming in Ruby? Well, procs are functional, and I want to like also like go the next level, and like arity is like a functional terminology. So let's enforce lambda because they enforce arity. Also, we could like do the proc as a functional in functional style. So all you need to do is initialize it with an app, and then it has to respond to calls. So you just put another like proc inside it, and then you do the. This is exactly the same as the earlier one. So you call env there inside. So basically, you have like there. That's fully functional programming style. So we have like Rack applications using just lambdas and procs. And I also said that this is going to be a blog application. So, I mean, I was searching for libraries. I was going to like do this with lambdas and stuff, but I was lazy, so I just searched for a gem, and I found this dry view gem. So, And sorry. And I mean, I went to their documentation, and there's functional in it. So, so basically, I have this directory, I have this code, and then I also said this is going to be about services. So one of the principles is keeping it simple. So I decided to like use keys. So keep it extra simple, super stupid. So basically, I have this, and then I have this working application. And yeah, and this is supposed to be a blog site, and I also said there's going to be services. So this is only one service, so another blog post should be in another service. So, so thank you, and I think I also have to show that. No, okay, I'm fine. Thank you, guys.
Okay, our next talk by Aaron Fernandez, writing our own testing framework.
Aaron? So there you go. My lightning talk would be to how to write our own testing framework. I shouldn't really be doing this talk, especially that Sam is around. So, but let's just assume that we're going to proceed with this, and let's name our testing framework as serious. Because as Rubyers, we are very serious about our testing practices. So disclaimer, proceed at your own risk. It's more practical to be using battle-tested libraries like RSpec, for example. So how are we going to do this? We're going to be booting up on a new gem. So we issue bundle gem with the name of our gems, which is serious, and we are going to skip our test. And so why is that? Because this is a serious gem. It is going to be testing itself. As you can see in this sample test. So we are testing that it's going to be passing. So we will have a main file which will be basically bootstrapping the whole gem. And as you can see, it's kind of sort of a blatant. Some parts are blatant copies of RSpec in the sense that we are going to be namespacing or describe. So, yep. And also, one thing to note is we are going to be using exceptions to handle one, exceptions in code, and two, exceptions or failures in our tests. Oops, no, I think I skipped. Yeah. So, going to more of the code. So we are going to be introducing a couple of classes, and the first one would be our description block, which is going to be just a wrapper class. As you can see, we are initializing it, and we will have an evaluate method, and it's basically just doing an instance eval. So that the context of this block that we're passing is going to be inside the class, or rather the instance of this class. Also, we want in our descriptions to be able to use the it keyword, similar to what we are writing in our code, here. So we're defining it as an it, And we are initializing a behavior this time and evaluating it. So what does our behavior look like? So it's very, very similar to our description class. It's basically also a wrapper for this evaluate, which is also calling instance eval. So we are running with this block on the context of this class. And this time, we are introducing a private method expect so that our behaviors can have expectations. And lastly, last two files would be first the expectation, wherein we are going to code our actual expectation. So right now, we have just to be expectation. So we are passing the expected. And what it's doing is we are testing if the given is actually the expected. If not, we are going to be raising a serious failure, and we have a message that the given is not the expected. So lastly, we are going to be introducing a new class, or rather an exception class called failure, or a serious failure, and we are just inheriting from the standard error. And finally, this file is going to tie it all up. That's it. Thank you very much.